Jgpo officials gave some more details with the new Guam military buildup plan that involves sending 5,000 Marines instead of the original 8,000 figure.
So under the units going to Guam, what we plan to, under this agreement, is a Marine Expeditionary Brigade headquarters, which is smaller than a Marine Expeditionary Force, which has a number of brigades underneath it. The 4th Marine Regiment, and then elements of the aviation, ground, and support units from the 3rd Marine Expeditionary Force.
Also, out of the approximately 5,000 Marines, about 60% will be rotational, which means less dependents will be stationed here as well. In fact, only about 1,300 dependents will be stationed here, as opposed to the original 9,000 figure.
You'll see a higher percentage of the rotational force, which are here 6 months at a time. About 2/3 of the mix of approximately 5,000 will be rotational forces, which means they won't have their family members with them, they won't have all that.
Because there were less people involved in the buildup, Jgpo officials expect fewer impacts and less mitigation may be required. Thus, they need a fresh new look at things like the natural, cultural, and socioeconomic impacts, but they're not going to do it through a new EIS. Instead, they will expand the scope of the supplemental EIS for the firing range complex to include all the other aspects of the buildup.
So what we're going to do is expand the scope of that document, that study, to also look at the assessment of the reduced number of Marines. Where it was narrow in scope before, now we make a new decision. So we're going to say, okay, let's not start all over again. We're going to expand the study to look at alternatives for the main base, the housing, and all the community support that goes with that, utilities and whatnot.
Ludovici says the firing range SCIS will be expanded to now look at things like whether or not the Marines could fit inside Naval Base Guam. This means they will have to restart the scoping process for the expanded SCIS in the fall of this year, which in turn means a draft SCIS won't be completed until the first quarter of 2014 and a final EIS by 2015.
So what does it mean for what we've got going on right now? We've got these 6 projects we expect to continue. We've got $300 and some million of contracts that we're planning to continue on up at Tapra and Anderson. You have the Dar Road, you have the port project, so we're still proceeding with that.
Governor Eddie Calvo said that the good news is that Guam is now getting clarity on the revised military buildup, but there are concerns still that the money that Guam was to receive from Japan through special purpose entities for civilian infrastructure has been taken out of the equation.
The concerns, of course, I have is there was the clarity of the cash commitment of the government of Japan and the uses of those funds for this military buildup. But we also understand that much of the infrastructure work that was to be laid out in terms of our community outside the gate, much of that was within the monies that have now been taken out, those low interest loans that were the contribution of the government of Japan.